Hi, welcome back. So last week we looked at the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck. So we are going to be using that to do our pick a piles today. As you know, I will deal 3 cards for each pile, ask you to intuitively choose which one is best for you, and then I will go on to the readings, and I will make sure that the times for every reading are out there in the description. So let's get started. Cutting the deck. While I'm doing this, I am going to thank you ahead of time for liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. If you want bonus content, early content, to tell me more about what you want to do with tarot readings, lives, and all that, you can head over to the Patreon. Any inquiries about my journals, my readings, any of that, head over to the website. And for your own 2 to 3 minute reading, head over to TikTok. I'm at Source Guide Messages at all of those, but I also do have all the information in the description. So I'm going to give you one more second since I was talking to choose your piles, pause it if you really need to, and come back and we'll do the readings. This is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. All right, starting with pile 1. We have the 8 of Potions, or the 8 of Cups. The 8 of Cups asks you to do some house cleaning, but house cleaning for yourself, essentially. The 8 asks what no longer serves you, whether you like it or not. It doesn't have to be just the things in your life that you don't like anymore. This can be people in your life that you still love, but the relationship has grown. You've grown apart. I wanted to say stale, but that's not necessarily it. It's more that you are still putting energy into maintaining a relationship because you've always been friends or you've always known each other, but now nothing syncs up. I'm not saying block them, delete them. You don't have to do anything like that. Just asking to stop putting in the effort. It doesn't have to be relationships. That's the example I'm using, but it can be anything that you do out of habit. Anything you do that you do because you feel guilty or sentimental about not doing it. We have that with the 2 of Needles or the 2 of Swords. Those kind of guilt and sentimentality issues can cause you to not be able to see the choices that are in front of you. So if you have a choice that you're making and you're having a really hard time making a decision, this sort of asks you to take a step back and to think about whether the reason you don't want to do something is because the people in your life or the things in your life or anything that would trigger that guilt or sentimentality, if that's what's holding you back. This can even be a decision about no longer communicating with people. It can be about things like leaving a job that's good but doesn't give you time to pursue something else. Feeling like you like where you are, or you used to like where you are, can make it very hard for you to move forward in something you need to do. So these 2 cards together really are asking you to take stock of your life and think about what's important to you and what used to be important to you. And then we have that with the 6 of Needles or the 6 of Swords, which is a card of moving on. Specifically moving forward. Moving on kind of implies a big fallout, which, as we've been talking about, this is a far more gentle kind of leaving. This is moving forward. This is just not being stuck in the past, letting that guilt and stuff wash away because you know that it's not that you're ending something, it's that something has already ended and you're just letting the natural flow of time take its course and you're going into the next thing. Moving into pile 2. And we are starting with the Nine of Cups, the Nine of Potions. The Nine of Cups is a card of contentment, happiness in relationships, really enjoying what it is you have, and kind of basking in it. So we do really love to see that. We have it with the Six of Pentacles, which is a card of generosity. Now, these are great things to have together. The one thing with the Six of Pentacles, the Six of Presents, is that a lot of times it asks you to ask if you are being, if there's a balance to your generosity. If you are giving too much or too little. Usually it actually focuses on giving too much, and that's partly because it comes after the 5, which is that poverty and loss. And as such, there's that need to pay it forward, to give when you didn't have before, and that is wonderful. The key is not to overdo it so that you go from this place of contentment and having what you need and being emotionally content and stable to one where you're back in that fear of loss. So it's just about balance. We have that with the King of Potions or the King of Cups. This is somebody who balances their head and their heart. So I love that because with the generosity and the contentment, there is sometimes that balance, or that fight between the emotions of it and the logistics of it, back to giving too much because you feel like you should. The King of Cups, the King of Potions, he's got that all locked up. He has that balance so that he is able to do things, helpful things, within reason. The cool thing too with the king is that he has been through the ups and downs of the potion suit. And he has been the young man page, he's been the knight, he's been the queen, he's been through all of it, and that's how he sort of comes to this balance. He's learned that if we give our hearts or our resources too quickly, we get in trouble, but that we also do if we withhold, if we are stingy with ourselves and our things. So he's reached this place where he can love fully without it causing harm to himself. So while we're talking about generosity, this does still feel very much like a romantic relationship type look. It doesn't mean it is for everybody. You know, these are general readings for the people who are drawn to them, so it will have different effects on different people, but it just has that idea of giving so much to hold on to somebody, and those types of relationships just don't stay for the long run, because even if you're both very, very much in love, if there's one person who is giving and giving and giving, even if the other person doesn't ask for it, it can lead to feelings of resentment. So this is that finding that balance, so where everyone's giving, everyone's receiving, everyone's as content as they can be. Obviously, relationships require work. They're not going to be idyllic, but you should both be doing the work, and it shouldn't be a struggle. Rough patches are one thing. They're supposed to be small patches. So, and you're supposed to be in it together. So that's just the takeaway from that, is that striving for that balance between head and heart, so that you are logistically taking care of yourself, but also emotionally content. And moving on to the last one, we have Temperance. And this is a great one. This is a card of moderation, but specifically not avoiding risks or taking risks for the sake of them. There's an alchemy to it. And I love this because you see her doing her potions, and that part of the movie, she's putting it together so that one of the ingredients gets her what she wants, and one of the ingredients covers that up so that the recipient will take it. That's not the kind of alchemy we're looking for here, but it's why the picture is perfect. What we're looking for is the right pieces at the right time. So in a lot of ways, this feels like a calculated risk. You know, it's not a move forward right now, but it is a pay attention to what's going on around you, so you can find that opportunity and then strike when the time is right. We have that with the Seven of Needles. This is a card that has many, many meanings. They all have many meanings, but this one in particular, because there's a strategy to it and a need to be careful about the way you're doing things, but there's also the bit about lies and deception. Often those are speaking about other people, but here, especially when we're looking at it with Temperance, it kind of feels like a call to be very careful about how strategic you are. It's one thing to play your cards close to your chest, and it is another thing to lie to get what you want. So there's a lot of being careful of the way we move forward right now. Yes, everything needs to be in the perfect place, but make sure that it gets there honestly. And then we have that with the Knight of Potions or the Knight of Cups. The Knight is known as the romantic, and this is specifically because of the way he views life. It's not necessarily about chasing romantic relationships so much as seeing everything in the positive view, seeing the bright side. I love this as the end for that, because the thing about calculated risks is that they can be a little bit anxiety inducing because you're taking a risk. But there's also that waiting to see how it turns out. So there can be a feeling of being stuck, and there can be all of these things where you're like, ooh, if I could just do it that way, then it would be there faster. And so when we run into things where we know we have to be slower because we're doing it the right way, having that looking towards the bright side is really nice. And in this case, the bright side would be that doing it correctly means not having regrets about it later, and maybe we're slower, but slower and steady means the results are more long-lasting and more beneficial. So it's not going to be a quick and easy path, but it is worth one that's worth going down. Thank you.